We promise it will be worth your while. Mabel Sutton was at her wit's end. She had married Jerry 10 years ago, thinking she had a winner. But now he had proved worthless. She owned 2 shopping centers and numerous apartment complexes. She had tried him at a number of jobs, everything available, including being a janitor. But he couldn't do a decent job at any of them. In bed, she had to take the initiative to make love, and many times he didn't respond to her advances. She considered divorce. She was at the end. She sat on the edge of her bed, trying to think of a way out of this situation. Just then Martha, her maid, came into the room. Martha was a strong-willed woman and did an excellent job. Mabel thought about how Martha had been her maid for over 12 years. Martha looked at her and said, "You look troubled. Got problems? Maybe I can help."
Tell me.
"I'll answer if I can. I don't know a lot about financial matters, but if it's something else, maybe I can help." Mabel knew Martha meant well and decided to lay it on the line. She said, "I really don't know if I should be telling you this, but I have to talk to someone. It's Jerry. I don't know what to do about him. He's useless.
He can't do anything.
He's lousy in bed. I have put him on at least 15 different jobs, hoping he would find one that suited him, and he failed at all of them. What does he do all day here?" Martha said, "Well, he plays games on his computer and watches television mostly. I once suggested maybe he go jogging, but he said he wasn't into jogging. He doesn't have a lot of drive. He just likes to sit back and take it easy." Mabel asked, "Can you think of anything he might be able to do that would be useful?" Martha said, "In all honesty, I could use some help. This is a big house and there is a lot to do, but I don't think Jerry would make a good maid. I mean, I can't give the master of the house orders now, can I?" Mabel thought for a minute, then said, "Do you think he could do a maid's job?" Martha answered, "To be a good maid takes training and the ability to follow orders. Mr. Jerry doesn't like to be told what to do." Mabel asked, "If I gave you the authority to give him orders, do you think you could make him useful around here?" Martha said, "In all honesty, I think I could make anyone useful around here, but I may need to punish him to get him to do a good job." Mabel said, "I have decided. You can have him as your junior maid. Now, how are we going to get him to cooperate?" Martha outlined the plan for Mabel. Mabel was amazed at the cunning of her maid. She thought in business Martha could have gone a long way. Mabel agreed to get the things Martha suggested. They decided the sooner they started, the better. After Martha left the room, Mabel smiled to herself and felt better than she had felt in a long time. The next day, Mabel came home at noon with an armful of packages. She put them in the spare bedroom next to hers. She went down and had lunch with Jerry. She asked, "Jerry, what do you do all day? You are here alone. It must get boring." Jerry answered, "Well, I watch television and play on the computer. I keep occupied." Mabel said, "Well, Martha said occasionally she could use a hand. Maybe you could help her." Jerry said, "I don't know anything about being a maid. Anyway, that's a woman's work." Mabel said, "Martha is a great maid. All I'm asking is if she asks you for some help, to give her some, that's all. I don't think she would take advantage of you, do you?" Jerry said, "No, I don't think she would. What kind of help does she need?" Mabel said, "I don't really know, but just keep in mind if she asks you, try to help her in any way you can. I don't want to lose her as a maid." Mabel knew Jerry knew she wasn't asking but telling him rather firmly that he had better help Martha if she asked him for help. Mabel left to go back to work, and Jerry headed for his computer. Late in the afternoon, Martha came in. Martha said, "I have a problem. I am sewing a new uniform for very formal occasions here, and I can't get the hem pinned just right. I was wondering if you could help me." Jerry said, "I don't know anything about pinning a hem. I'm sorry. I'll tell you what. You tell me what to do, and I'll try my best to pin it for you." Martha said, "That's not what I had in mind. What I thought is if you could just put it on, then I can get it pinned." Jerry said, "It's 4:30. Can't it wait until tomorrow? Mabel will be coming home soon." Martha said, "Mrs. Sutton won't be home before 6, and this will only take maybe 20 minutes. Please, will you help me?" Her pleading worked, and Jerry agreed. Martha took him into her room and started to take his shirt off. He asked what was going on. Martha said, To have the dress hang right, we have to give you some form. You're going to have to wear this bra, which has form sewn into it. The dress has to look right. You'll have to put on some heels because a woman carries herself differently when she wears heels. 15 minutes later, Jerry stood in the sewing room with the uniform on, and Martha knelt pinning the hem. Jerry's jaw dropped when he saw Mabel standing there looking at him. Mabel said, "Don't you look lovely? Is that your uniform?" Jerry said, "No, I am just helping Martha, like you said." Mabel said, "Well, it gives me ideas. You really ought to be carrying more of your weight around here. Don't let me catch you in it again, or it will be your uniform. Martha can always use help, and if I see you in it again, guess who's going to be her helper?" Jerry was embarrassed, but he only looked down at the floor and quietly answered, "Yes, dear." A couple of minutes later, Martha finished and said, "There, that wasn't so bad, was it?" Jerry said, "Not for you. Did you hear what Mrs. Sutton said to me?" Martha said, "Oh, yes, but don't worry. I think I'll need one more shot at seeing if the hem is right, but we'll do it when we know she won't be here." Jerry said, "Well, I guess thank you for that. I really don't want to put it on again." Martha said, "If we can do it when she won't be here, why not? All I'm asking is for you to be a dressmaker's dummy for a very, very short while." Jerry said, "We'll see." Martha smiled when Jerry left to change. She knew they had him, and there wasn't anything he could do about it. The next afternoon, Martha went into the computer room where Jerry was playing a game. Martha asked him if he would give her a hand with the uniform again. Jerry answered, "I would like to, but you heard my wife. What if she caught me wearing that again?" Martha said, "It's 1:30. It will only take a half hour at the top. Have you ever seen Mrs. Sutton home in the middle of the afternoon?" Jerry answered, "No, I guess you are right. Do you promise to make it quick?" Martha said, "It won't take long. I just want to make sure the hem is straight. You will probably only have to have it in less than 5 minutes if the hem is straight." Jerry agreed and went to put the uniform on. This time Martha added a mini-tiered petticoat, assuring Jerry it was to make sure everything was just right. They were in the sewing room when Jerry heard his wife say, "Jenny got sick, so we didn't have lunch together, so I thought I would stop to check my calendar. I forgot it this morning. Well, will you look at this? I didn't know you wanted to be a maid. You look so darling. If that is what you want, you can be the junior maid around here." Jerry said, "I was just helping Martha. I don't want to be a maid. Honestly, I was just helping her so she could see if the hem was right." Mabel said, "Well, I told you that you were giving me ideas. The idea you gave me is that you should be more useful around here. So from now on, you are the junior maid. Martha is your boss, and you will do what she tells you. And I think you had better do a good job, or she'll make you see the error of your ways. We can't have a maid called Jerry, can we, Martha? What do you think we should call our new maid?" Martha said, "I've often wished that I had some help around here, because I've needed it badly. Those times the girl I imagined helping me was called Annette." "How does that sound?" Mabel said, "That sounds good to me. It doesn't sound like anything masculine, does it?" Martha answered, "No, it is a very feminine name." Mabel went and stood right in front of Jerry and said, "You are now Annette. And as Annette, you will act as feminine as you can, and you will learn to be the best lady's maid there is. Do you understand?" Jerry said, "Mabel, why?" Mabel answered, "Because Martha has told us that Annette is the name of her junior maid, and you are now the junior maid. I told you, it's time you were useful around here. It's time to send Jerry on a vacation. We need Annette here for the time being." Jerry had tears in his eyes, but said he understood. Mabel smiled at him and turned and left. Martha said, "We have to get you looking pretty for your new mistress.
Come on now.
First we have to give you a bath and get rid of that awful body hair." She took him to the bathroom and put a depilatory on him and made him wait 15 minutes for it to work. He felt many different sensations in the shower as his body hair went down the drain. He emerged from the shower, and Martha gave him a flowery-smelling powder puff after he had dried himself. He liberally applied the powder, and Martha smiled at him. Then he was shocked as she knelt down and fastened something on his member. Martha said, A maid doesn't need something like that. Besides, it'll make you have to sit down to go to the toilet like any maid would. Jerry had never thought he would be in a chastity belt and blushed when she put a small padlock on it. She then led him into her room, where she put a corset on him. She tightened the laces as tight as she could, then had him raise his arms and tighten some more. She then went around in front of him and hit him squarely in the stomach. He wasn't expecting it, and she told him to hold it as she tightened the laces some more. She tied off the laces, and he felt faint, like he couldn't breathe. She told him to take shallow breaths, and he would be fine. Then she took a pair of breast forms and marked them and his body to align them just right. She then put adhesive on them and attached them to his chest. He immediately noticed a change in his center of balance. Martha told him she was surprised that they were double D breasts. She didn't think the mistress cared for big busted women. She helped him get the stockings on and showed him how to fasten them to the garters that were hanging down. Then she pulled a pair of black lacy panties up his legs. She finished dressing him and took him over to her makeup table and plucked his eyebrows into a very thin arch and applied lipstick, eyeshadow, foundation, and blush on him. Jerry looked into the mirror and saw a woman looking back at him. He stared at the shiny red lips and tears formed in his eyes. He felt a sharp sting as she pierced his ears. Jerry angrily asked, "What was that?" "Ear piercing," Martha told him. "Your mistress, who is also your wife, is fed up with your laziness, and she wants you to have them." "Oh," Jerry said, feeling subdued. Martha said to him, "I know you have had a lot happen to you so far today, but it is for the best, believe me. I will help you as much as I can, but you're going to have to work with me. Now, let me get your wig on, so we can get to work." She got the long black wig and pinned it on his head, then put a mob cap with ribbons for decoration on top of it. She then took him down to the kitchen and poured him a cup of coffee. When they were settled at the table, Martha said, "First, I am going to have you scrub the kitchen floor, and I want you to do a bang-up job on it, or I'll punish you and make you redo it." They finished their coffee and put the dirty dishes in the dishwasher. Martha showed him where the pail and cleaner were and told him to sweep the floor well first. He swept the floor, and Martha looked at it and told him he did a good job. He got the pail and the cleaner, filled the pail with water, and added the cleaner. Then he asked Martha where the mop was. Martha said, "I told you to scrub it, not mop it. You scrub it on your hands and knees. All maids have to start somewhere, and you're going to start that way." He asked where the rags were, and she sent him to his bedroom for an undershirt. He blushed as she cut the undershirt into 2 pieces and handed them to him. She told him that after he scrubbed it with a cleaner, to empty the pail and use clear water to rinse it well. He got down on his hands and knees and started. As he was doing it, he noticed a lot of discomfort from the corset. When he finished scrubbing and rinsing it, he called Martha. She looked at it and saw some suds all along the edge by the cupboards. She pointed it out to him and told him to do it all over again and reminded him he would be punished for not doing it right the first time. He redid the floor and was really sore in the knees when he was done. He called Martha, and she looked at the floor looking for any defects she could find. She didn't find any. She said, "That is the way it should look when you are done. We can call this all finished after I give you your punishment." He didn't have any idea what she meant when she said his punishment and followed her into the dining area. She pointed to a chair she had pulled out. He sat down, and she told him he was supposed to bend over it. He asked not to have to do that, and she said, "Okay." She had him get up, and she sat down. Before he realized what was happening, she had him bent over her lap and was raising his petticoats and pulling his panties down. She took a long-handled hairbrush and started to spank him. By the 3rd smack, he was crying, and by the time she had given him 10 good hard swats, his rear was in flames. She pulled up his panties and told him to sit on the chair next to her. Martha said, "Being a maid isn't always easy, but if you do your best, it shouldn't be so bad. I'll try to give you the benefit of the doubt, but if I think you can do better, you'll be punished. Mistress expects me to train you to be an acceptable maid, and I intend on doing that. Hopefully, I won't have to punish you again. A big part of being a good maid is attitude. If you can maintain a good attitude, it will be a lot easier for you. I know all of this is a big shock to you, but try to see it from your mistress's side. You failed at every job she provided for you. If you fail at this, I don't know what she will do with you. What can you do if she puts you out with nothing? From your past, I don't think you can do much. You are too nice a person to end up that way. So, why don't you tell me you are willing to try to be a good maid? Jerry answered, I will try to be a good maid. I don't know what Mabel has in mind for me. I still love her, but I never figured out what she really wanted from me.
All those jobs she put me on didn't do anything for me.
I just couldn't get interested in them enough to do the job she expected. I tried, but it didn't happen. Some of them made me upset, and I know I didn't have the right outlook for them. It was like having a dog babysit a cat.
It just isn't meant to be.
Right now, I don't think Mabel cares anything for me. Martha knew he was speaking honestly for once and said, I'll bet that is the first time you ever thought about those things, isn't it? You don't have to answer that, but I'll tell you what I think. I think the mistress still has some feelings for you, or you would be out the door and alone. What do you think? Jerry answered, Right now, I don't know what to think. I would love to think she still cares for me, but if she did, why am I now a maid? Martha responded, Maybe she wants to give you one last chance to remind you you are now a junior maid. In other words, you are training to be a maid. I am your trainer and would rather train you as a friend than as just a boss. I want you to come to me when you want to talk or have a problem.
Do you want that?
Jerry gushed, Yes, I really appreciate that. I'll come to you if you don't mind. Martha said, Good. That's settled. Now, to get on with your training. First and most important, you never call mistress by anything except mistress unless she tells you otherwise. Do you think you can remember that? Jerry answered that he thought he could. Martha then had him curtsy and continued to curtsy until he had it down. When he had it down, she told him to curtsy any time the mistress spoke to him and when entering or leaving her presence. It was time to start the evening meal and Martha started to teach him about cooking. He was a fast learner for cooking. Just before Mabel was due home, Martha told him he was to meet her at the door to take her coat and hang it in the closet. He was then supposed to ask her if there was anything she wanted before dinner was served. If she wanted a drink or anything, he was to take care of it. He heard her car and went to the door. When she entered, he curtsied and asked her for her coat. She smiled and handed it to him. He put it in the closet and asked her if she wanted anything before supper. She said, Yes, Annette, you can make me a whiskey and water. I'll have it in the living room. He curtsied and went to make the drink. He thought about really goofing up the drink and then decided against it. He took the drink to her on a small tray and then put it on the table in front of her and curtsied again. Mabel said, You look wonderful. That must be your shade for makeup. Did Martha put you to work after I left? Jerry answered, Yes, mistress. She had me scrub the kitchen floor. It shines like new if I say so myself. Mabel said, Good. Keep up the good work. You can go help Martha in the kitchen now. Jerry curtsied and went to the kitchen. Martha asked him how it went, and he told her it was okay. Martha explained to him that they would be eating after the mistress had her meal. Mabel ate in silence, and Jerry had to refill her coffee cup twice. After she finished, Jerry cleared the mess, rinsing the dishes and putting them into the dishwasher. By that time, Mabel had retired to her study, and Martha had their meal ready.